Welcome to the Uncle Jimmy and Cousin Donnie Show, sponsored by the Beacon Tap. We're having tons of technical difficulties tonight, Cousin Donnie. Your
Yeah.
uncle has no login, just a complete shit show on my end, but we are
Uh,
making it happen.
Jimmy, hello. Sorry for everybody for waiting. I know we're a few minutes behind to start the night. However, we're here. We've got at least two incredible guests for you guys tonight. Some of the most popular faces in the 12-inch game and coaches of some really important popular teams. And we want to get into that as soon as possible. These guys have been waiting, being super patient with us. So we appreciate it very much. It's kind of a weird dynamic. Jimmy's usually on this side, but we'll leave it. We're not going to touch it. We have enough
You can
issues
flip
already.
me. You can put me
I'll be
on the other
fine.
side.
We'll be fine.
Just flip
It's
me.
gonna be okay. It's gonna be
Yeah.
all right.
So
Um,
Donnie, how was your week, Donnie? Before we get into these 12-inch guys, how was your week?
the week was good. We played. We had a game on Tuesday indoor at the Rosemont Dome. We did beat March 13-3 in 5 innings. We played a good game. Everybody hit the ball well. Jimmy, I got a surprise in the mail this week from one of our loyal viewers,
Really?
and I want to
And
show you what we got. You ready for this?
what is it?
So our guy, Mike Henricks, you might know him as Mikey Cutshot,
Yeah.
as his friends call him, right? He sent me something cool in the mail uh, this
He
week. He
sent
sent
me
me a.
something as well.
Did he send you one of
Yeah.
these
Yes, he
posters?
did. Yes, he
Look
did.
at this thing.
He
This thing's
sent me
incredible.
he sent me a banner as well, the same thing, and I'm gonna hang it up for the charity tournament. So
Feels so
uh
special.
why we're going on, I want to talk about
Right.
that. December 13th, the banner you're looking at will be hung at the GoPro Dome for the tournament. We are at 57 people still, so we still need about 23 individuals to sign up to get to 80. So
It's
hopefully more people will sign up, and hopefully the cut shot, hopefully the Iowa guys can come on down for the night. Let's get them a hotel room down the
there are
street, and
there are
let's have some fun. So,
there are some Iowa guys that are going to be there.
yep. So Donnie, why don't you?
But I thought that was super cool that he sent me that. So shout out to Mike and all he does for the 16-inch game with the bats and everything. So
Yes.
uh, great to show that off. I will have that hung up eventually. It's got to be figured out with the fiance. I'm sure she's not going to love it, but that's fine.
No, but she'll get over it.
Yeah.
So. So Donnie, I'm super excited tonight about our guest. We always talk about growing the game, talk about doing things, to enhance what we do. And I think tonight is a step in the right direction. And we obviously, with Resmondo coming to major nationals and now a couple other individuals, I know a couple guys were having trouble, just like myself, trying to get on the feed. So I don't know if it's an issue with Restream or if an issue
Maybe.
overall, but
Maybe.
let's get to them. Let's
Yeah.
get them on. I know we've been kind of sitting around for 15 minutes, so let's get them on the show. And we've got a ton of questions we want to ask them. I know there's Brett, there's
There's
Danny.
Dan.
What's going on, guys? Welcome to the Uncle Jimmy Cousin Donnie Show. There's Spencer. So
Spencer's in the bottom right. I believe he's driving while being on the show. We appreciate the dedication to the program, Spencer, very much. And I appreciate that a lot. But yeah, thank you guys. Welcome to the show. Brett, you've been on before. We've seen you, met you when you were here for Major Nationals. So we appreciate you coming on back. Danny, I need a quick introduction from you. What team are you associated with, and what's the 12-inch story for you?
So I run the straight play
Okay.
Rebel,
Yeah.
double A, double A, double. We're actually back to back A and double A champs. So we ran it back to back.
Good.
We just linked up with a strong partnership with an incoming, returning legend of the sponsorship realm, and Dan Smith, Pat Del Sanders, along with Proton, who's putting the full weight behind their return to the game. So Charles Darling and Lex Ramirez, all four of those gentlemen have been nothing but pleasures to work with. We're looking to build a major team. My goal going into Bees 3 years ago was to win the B. Unfortunately, I fell short. Although I did get a GSL B that year with like what 8 teams, but hey, we can count it, right? I got the ring on the wall.
There you go. Show
But
it
then
off, man.
went back and we won an A. We won an A in a year that I think like media wise we were took like 11th out of 12. And then we turned around and won a double A. Media wise, we were took 5th out of 6. And you could ask any guy on my team, any coach in my management group, and any sponsor in my sponsorship group. There was never a doubt in my mind. I felt we had the best team the whole time. We had an identity that we were looking to create, not only within the team and the club, but within the organization and the management and the way we wanted to do things. And we created a brand. And I think going into this year, I think some people that were in the game knew Straight Play won an A title, but an A title is just an A title. I don't think Brett Helmer knew who I was yet. But I would say probably after this year, I think me and Brett, definitely shake hands when we see each other at the park because we had some pretty good damn battles and with the kind of teams that he's been putting together, the legend he is in the game and the amount of winning he's done to get on his radar as
Sure.
far as the way I run my teams is an honor to me, and it shows that I've been doing something at least, somewhat right. My guys believe in me. My guys believe in it. My sponsorship group believes in it. My coaching staff believes in it. And I think that's just half the battle. I mean, on the field performance is tough. This is a very competitive, this conference world. A lot of people like to think it's easy. They watch it on YouTube and they tell you about all the things they can do. You get out there and try to get a hit with those defenses and the way these guys play and the amount of athletes that we have on the field, and it's not easy. And so I'm very, very proud of what Straight Play has accomplished. Quick story, I started Straight Play is an E team in 2018, and I've literally went bump for bump, division for division. Took second in E. I won D. I had my best team was my C team who flunked. But then I had a GSLB and a 4th in Florida and B, 1A, 1AA, and Brett. I'm coming for the major this year, man. It's on the radar. I'm coming for it. I mean,
I love it, man.
all I can say is that I want it. I'm coming. I'm going to do my best.
Yeah.
So,
Thank you for all that, man.
we have a
That's
story.
great.
It's a cool story. And the one
Yeah.
thing that I'm very proud of is I've done it organically. I haven't overturned my roster. And something I really respect about the way Brett does things, they don't turn over their roster every year. There's a lot of great players out there. They could very easily try to replace, get better at this spot and that spot. He's never done it. He does not turn over his roster. Continuity is something. Chemistry does mean something, depending on what your definition of chemistry is. And it's something that I've looked up to Brett. I've looked up to Brett mentioned earlier when we were talking off camera about some of the things that Roofx has done. I've been following those guys since they were a B team and looking at how they did things and identifying it. And I took what they were doing and just try to, do it my way. And, it seems to be working thus far. We'll see if we can get over the mountaintop, though.
Definitely, man. Appreciate all
Donnie,
that. Jimmy, you sound not all that great. It's all right. Yeah.
her down on the right, he's driving. I know that pretty there with the with that. So can hear us.
Uh-oh. I know he's on the road. Spencer, we appreciate you jumping on the stream regardless.
Oh, I think he's there.
Yeah. How you doing, man? We appreciate you and give background about you and your team and who you are.
Yeah, sure. So I'm currently with Roofx. Managed them for the first year for last year. Kind of came on board with the new sponsorship group that we put together over there. And I think, for us, it's we just try to take a comprehensive approach of stacking like-minded individuals together and, then working things out as a group, trying to come out on top. We felt like it was a pretty good season, and then, for it to end like it did, we were a little frustrated. They work harder than any group that I've ever been associated with, and it's always refreshing, to get back to work with those guys.
Yeah. That's great. Definitely
So-
it was a pleasure to follow you this year and how much your team has grown and how much better you guys have got. And before you jump down, while you're having some issues, I got a chance to chat with Brett a little bit. He said you guys owned them this year, and that's not easy to do. Can you talk about, you know, the success that you had this year and you know, where that, I know you said you got a bunch of, you know, like-minded individuals on the team, but why are you guys so good against Resmondo?
Well, I don't think it's just a against Resi thing. I think that the mentality for this group of kids, not kids, but the group
Sure.
of players that was the Rufex group, they want to win every single game all the time, right? Like it's something that when you walk into that they've already established that they're not here just to win one tournament or one game or, you know, anything. They want to win every single game, and that translates, you know, throughout the dog days of summer, you know, and, you know, it's just a different type of grind. And, you know, it's like I said, it's refreshing to be around.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And on that, but we're gonna try to do it. You know, we've not watching, but you know, I appreciate you guys. The Uncle Jimmy met around 6 softball boat was old. We've been getting more of this connected with the senior world, and you know, for 1 years old. I playing softball, and
I had to squint for a second.
Yeah.
The question I'm not yet, but I know our fans all know who you are, your personality, humor. How would you tell these two other enjoyed about?
Yeah, you know what? We absolutely, you know, it started fun and it got better as it went along for us. We had an absolutely great time. The reception from the folks from signing up and then walking into the park on that Friday night, everybody kind of treated us like we've been there, you know, for 10 straight years. So that was pretty cool to see. And it was a nice turnout. You know, we're not always fortunate, unfortunately, in the conference to play in front of a bunch of people. A lot of times it's just, you know, me staring at these two guys here across the field and there's nobody watching except maybe somebody's wives or kids if we're lucky. So, you know, some places are great, like the Smokies, but for the most part, hell, that was the most people we played in front of all year long was at the 16-inch, you know, major. The team stuck around and there was a hell of a nice crowd there. And I think for my guys, you know, we went in with the, you know, my mentality was, I believe hitters hit no matter what you're hitting. Whatever you pitch it, hitter can hit it. So I knew we could hit. I also knew it would be humbling as hell, right? Because you're not winning this playing home run derby, right? I mean, Matusa hit the only 2 home runs that's been hit at that ballpark since y'all have played it there, to my knowledge.
Since it was built. Yeah.
You know, so.
No shit. Wow.
Oh, dude.
It was a really cool moment.
It was super humbling and, you know, for the guys, but I was proud of the fact they made those adjustments of, all right, man, listen, we're not going to sit here and blow homers out of the park. Let's look around the park and let's, you know, hammer some gaps when we can and let's poke some holes and
Play softball.
play small. Yeah, man. And play, you know, we had it in our mind. If we could score 10 runs, we'd be in every single game we played. And I think if you looked at how the bracket ended up, that was true, right? If you scored 10, you won 90% of the games you played in.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
wow.
So, and we played great defense. You know, Corey Briggs was massive for us in center field, just like he was at the 12-inch major World Series. You know, anybody who was really paying attention, Corey Briggs was the MVP of the 12-inch World Series. If anybody would have been really paying attention, right? So he was the same there. He won the MVP there, actually. You know, for the 16-inch, he was amazing, man, with phenomenal plays and coverage and good throws. So, you know,
diving
for our
play.
part, yeah,
Crazy.
you know, and it was cool to see. Everybody went from, man, we're so glad you're here, this is awesome, to as we're winning, it's, man, we hope you guys lose.
Yeah.
We want you guys to win this. This will suck.
Standard weekend for you, Brett.
Yeah,
Standard weekend
that's
for
right.
you.
Every weekend is a typical weekend, man. Hey, man, you're a great dude. We love you, but man, we hope you guys get beat. So,
As you lost, oh hell yeah, we got.
yeah,
I think
so.
Well,
I
Brett,
think
Go
it,
I-57. Go I-57. Finish it
Damn right.
off.
They went.
I think you have to team ever to win both the 12-inch major.
Yep, I believe that's
cool.
right. I believe that's
That'll
right.
be done unless comes right. Come here to major.
Yeah, we've actually, we've talked about it quite a bit since then, since Brett and them went this year. I think we saw each other the next weekend in Minnesota, and
Yep.
we talked about it there some. It's definitely on our radar. I know, our guys are interested, depending upon, how it works out in the schedule. I mean, it's definitely something that we're discussing for sure.
cool.
Which was
That
the
would be
whole
awesome.
point, right?
Yeah.
It wasn't to be 100% honest. It hasn't been something that had crossed my radar as of this point. You know how it goes, dealing with the whole off season, how everything else transpires and all the shit you got to deal with. But hearing you guys talk, especially hearing what you were saying, Brett, I think it would be really cool to take our brand of ball out there and compete against you're the teams that play 16-inch, but not only that, to see how we stack up against our own kind who are out there playing. Because I mean, obviously, you guys had some success, and Brett, I give you credit too, because you guys had some success playing a kind of brand of ball that a lot of people would have probably said you wouldn't have had some success at.
That's
which
right.
I think goes to show the true dynasty that you have created and the respect it deserves, because you guys have not just won games by outslugging people. People get that. People forget that you guys have won a lot of games and that it didn't come down to outslugging people. So no, I think I have the full support of my management group. Matter of fact, they've kind of put the ball in my court in a humbly. They've given me a lot of say on how all that's going to transpire. And so, if this is something that we can get some beef behind, I think my guys are always up for a challenge. I wouldn't be here if I wasn't up for a challenge. I'm a emotional. Brett saw me standing over at third. I'm an emotional firecracker type of leader. So I'm always looking forward to a good challenge. So. I think I could get the support behind it. I would love to commit to do something like that. I think as long as the dates permit and whatnot, I think we could get that on the schedule. I really do.
Yeah, I
And that was
appreciate
the whole point, right? The whole point
Yep.
for us coming was to try to grow this to get some more 12-inch teams to come. We laid it out there. We were fully listening. We could have easily went there and went 1-2 and got our asses handed to us, but it was all right because I'm willing to get embarrassed to grow the game. That's been my life. That's what we've tried to do here.
That's what I respect about you too.
It's
I do
leave the
respect
game.
that about you.
Yeah, it's leave the game in a better place than we found the game, right?
And
That's
the game,
whole
and right, and that's 100%. It's about the game as a whole. Well, whether we're talking 16-inch, we're talking 12-inch, we're talking men's, we're talking women's, we're talking lowers, we're talking uppers, conference, A, B, double A, whatever it ends up being. These world rings are all valuable in their own right. Like I've always said, I think the C is the hardest one to win. I think the C is the hardest one to win, in my opinion. That is the toughest one to assemble a team and go win, because you never know what you're up against, number one. But I mean, if we could grow the game as a whole, holistically, whether it's 16 men's, women, and otherwise, it's going to grow the brand. It's going to grow the sponsorship. It's going to grow the interest, which is going to grow the whole conference, the whole kit and caboodle. And every one of us that are a part of it are going to benefit for that.
Yeah, that was definitely something that we went over. We were able to talk to these guys before they came down to the tournament, right? We talked with Brett. We got, their guys involved as we could. And I think they were pretty excited to come. And once they got here, they realized that this is a pretty big deal, right? I know it's a bigger ball, should be easier to hit, but I mean, those guys struggled a little bit, and it was fun. It was fun to watch those guys adjust and adapt.
You have to admit to me, though. You have to
went
admit
on.
to me that the target was on their backs. You guys
100%.
had to have had the target on their
100%.
backs.
When they got the first draw on Friday night, it was hey, go up and beat those guys because we don't want to see them on Sunday afternoon.
Yeah.
But they played really good in their first game. Second game, they played a really nice up and coming major team and handled them. And then they went through the gauntlet of three of our best 16-inch softball teams and handled all of those. So it was you definitely had a target, Brett, I will say, and it was fun.
That's why I tipped my cap. I tipped my cap to Respondo. I was on a podcast called The Hidden Sit Show, and they were asking about manager of the year and who it should go to and so on and so forth. And they're mentioning names and I said, man, how do you not mention Brett Helmer year in and year out? Because nobody understands what it's like to enter not just every tournament, every single game you play the whole season. You are expected to not only win, but usually dominate. And that is the utmost, like, you've seen a lot of professional, like, major league teams and things of that nature that have been put together that way that have absolutely shit the bed, that have not been able to uphold those standards. And Resmondo just continues to do it year after year after year. And that, to me, that is where that kind of management is the toughest because of the pressure. Because one loss could snowball into so many problems so easily with the amount of egos we're dealing with. Because we are dealing with egos. And when you're dealing with that kind of pressure, that is one of the things. And now he goes and plays 16. He takes that chance. He takes that leap of faith, knowing that every team there wants nothing more. You're going to get their A game, hands down, no question about it. And to come out on top, it had to be very satisfying for you, Brett. I'd imagine that was like another just ring that you won that was up there with the top, I'd imagine.
I'm not going to lie to you. It ended up being as fun of softball time as I've had in 30 years at this level of doing these things. And my guys, I think if you ask them, and I know Corey Briggs came on and talked to you guys afterwards, if you polled my guys when we started, it was, man, why the hell are we here? What are we doing? This sucks. It's hard to hit it. And then it turned into, hey, man, we want to whip everybody's ass here because they are, they're not hating on us, but they want you to lose everything. And that's, if you're a competitor, man, you feed off of, listen, I want you to hate me. I want you to want me to lose every game. I promise you will get my A+ game every second of the day of it, man. And my guys jumped on that finally, just like I would expect your team to, or the RoofX guys to, or most of our conference teams, right? They're going to rise to that.
Hope.
And all of a sudden,
that's called championship mentality, Brett.
Yeah,
that's a championship mentality right there.
Yeah, and they dialed it in. And if you asked all of them right now, they would all tell you they can't wait to get back there next year. They're absolutely looking forward to it.
I love to hear that. So that's great.
Go ahead, Donnie. I want to get better now.
I want to get Spencer involved a little bit. He's been quiet down there in the darkness of the bottom right corner. Spencer, what do you guys have? Any excitement? I mean, after hearing Brett talk about it, got to be a little bit fired up about it. But any sort of potential looking forward to that tournament next year? I know you said you're trying to work things out if it works for the schedule, but after hearing Brett talk about it, or some of those Resmondo guys that got a chance to come hang out with us, what's the mindset for you? Maybe coming down here next year to play. And he lost.
That's what he thinks about it.
Yeah, I guess he didn't like it too much.
That's where he's at.
He needs some time.
So, yeah, I know he's driving, so his service is about as good as mine right now, which is terrible. So,
Jimmy, his was better than yours for the first 20 minutes of the show.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is right now. I don't know what's going on. I think because I'm on your login, I'm lagging, so it is what it is. But
I'm bummed out that none of the other managers called in, man. This could have been amazing, but nobody else made the call. That kind of sucks.
We had, you know what? I didn't even know what it was, and I just blindly took the leap because, I figured somebody wants to reach out and grow the game.
That's right.
Whatever it's about, I'll jump in and help out.
We had three people cancel like right before 20 minutes. I had 6 of you guys coming on, so it would have been perfect, but 6 and us 2 would have been 8 people total, which would have been awesome. But 3 of them canceled. They had questions. But
Brett and Danny, Donnie, we'll send you the name. We'll send you the names of those teams, and you guys beat those guys by 25 next time you play them, please, just for shafting us on the show.
Were these other 16-inch teams?
No, these are teams.
They're all 12-inch teams from you guys, and that's okay.
Brett and I'm sure we can do a good number on them.
Yeah,
probably right.
So, Danny, the Labor Day weekend is the weekend of major nationals, and I know Brett kind of touched a little bit on it. You guys don't really have a major tournament. Where are most of you guys from? Are you guys from around the country, or is it like kind of like Rufex? I know is from like Indiana or Ohio. A lot of their guys.
Yeah.
Where are most of your guys from?
Yeah, well, my teams, we're pretty spread out. So I'm a West Coast based team. So my roots are West Coast. My main cog of guys have come from the West Coast. Like the West Coast seemed to be like kind of dying. It still kind of is, huh, Brad? Like there's not enough.
Yeah.
There's a lot of talent out here, but for whatever reason, it's just for the finances or for whatever the case, the conference hasn't been able to draw in this West Coast talent, and so but nevertheless, to answer your question, I found halfway through my B season 3 years ago, I found a pitcher named Josh Jones, who's an absolute bulldog. He's a competitor, for all the things that, you can point out for any player that they have their warts or the things that they do wrong. This man will defeat him with the lion's heart that he carries on his chest, and the absolute belief that he has in himself, but not just himself, his teammates.
Oh shit.
Perfect.
Josh Jones being from Alabama. Did I lose you guys?
Yeah,
Just
You
good.
lost.
You're back.
Sorry.
You're back.
Sorry, guys. I got a call and it cut me off.
No worries.
Shit.
All right.
No, you're there.
You're good, my man. You're good, Danny.
He knew I was on this podcast too, and he still called me. Why would he do that?
Probably did.
Hold
on
on one
purpose.
second, guys. I don't know if you can still hear me, but I'm trying to reestablish here. Can you hear me?
That could
Yes.
yeah. That could have been dangerous. He could have said something off the books right there, and he would have no idea.
Yeah.
Let's get him back on. There he is.
Sorry
There he
about
is.
that. This guy knew I was on a podcast too, and he called me anyways. Chad, if you're listening, don't call when I'm on podcast, please. Anyhow, so I bring in Josh Jones. It's a long story long since I got cut off here. Josh Jones was from Alabama, and he bought into my vision on what I was trying to do. I'm one of those guys, like when I go into something, like I don't go into it just to have a little fun or just to try to win maybe or try to get a good team or make a few friends. I go into it to like, let's see if we can get to the top. And when I say the top, I mean the top. And Josh Jones is that exact guy. And that's why through all the times that, different things have come up and he's had his issues or people said he wasn't good enough or this and that, I've stood behind that guy 110% because that guy stood true to the vision 100%. And people that have built the team, Brett knows this, like somebody that stands behind your vision and totally, truly 100% believes it, bleeds that straight play way. He'll tell you he is the straight play way. He helped me. That kind of passion helped me just spread my tentacles into the South. How's this guy from Southern California going to have tentacles in the South? I know nobody. I had a good C team from Corona, California, or Riverside, California. Nobody knew who the hell I was. But Josh Jones, his passion, his belief, spread his tentacles into Alabama, and it spread us out across, the whole South, and then up into Ohio with Ike Warlow and then Brandon Streets and so on and so forth. And it's been like, I don't want to say it like this, but it's been like a movement a little bit, like the people that have come into the program, they've stayed latched in, and we've managed to kind of just, just bring in guys from all different areas, but the crew has just stayed tighter than hell. So we are very spread out, though, to answer your question. I know there's a really long way of answering that question, but I gotta get my emotions across.
So really quick, we had a question come in from the comments here, and it says, "Are the big dogs coming to No Gloves?" And I think that question is pointed to Brett. So Brett has been on some of our feeds in previous shows mentioning about No Glove Forest Park National. And so, Brett, I'm going to hand it over to you. I know you mentioned that if it works in the schedule, you guys would gladly come play the No Glove side of the game. But what's your thoughts on it? Because I know a lot of people are looking to hear your opinion.
Well, we would 1,000,000% love to play the No Glove. I think my only reservation is timing, right? It's end of July. My concern really would be, broken fingers. I'm going to have dudes because we haven't played it. They don't know how to catch it. the right way. I'm going to have dudes with broken fingers. And then I got sponsors who pay a lot of money for us to travel around to do 12-inch stuff that are going to be like, hey, man, what in the fuck are you doing taking these dudes to here and having 7 guys with fingers pointing in 19 different directions?
It's true.
So that's my only reservation. But the answer is, at some point, we're going to figure out a way to come do it, because my dudes absolutely want to do it. And they are way in on hitting balls as hard as they can at dudes with no gloves on and breaking their fingers too. So I think it's if we can make it work and to make it make sense, we will 1,000,000% come and support it.
What the hell does no gloves mean? So I was telling I said off camera, like we organized like a 16-inch during Worlds when we had some downtime. So we were playing, but we were using gloves. So what's the no gloves thing?
It's the same thing. You play the whole tournament. There are no ball gloves. You play barehanded.
Yeah.
Well, when you're playing a normal tournament, you have the option to use glove or no glove.
You cannot.
So there's a no glove nationals and there's a glove nationals. So there's 2 different within the 16-inch. There's no glove tournaments and glove tournaments. More
that would be a harder.
gloves.
See, that might be a harder sell for my management group.
So Danny,
like,
just so you know, Danny, the Chicago guys and the Iowa guys now, we play no glove all season long, and basically to the last tournament of the year, which is Glove National, which is what Brett comes out to. There's a handful of the major guys that travel to Iowa and Yuma that play with gloves, but for all us major teams and A teams, we don't play with gloves all season long in Chicago. Right. So the 16-inch game is meant for no glove. And so that's why you'll see comments a lot about, are they playing, no glove, this, that, and another, because that's how the game originated. We started playing with gloves to bring in more teams from out of state and things like that, which Iowa's caught on, Arizona's caught on. And
so does it look that like if you use a glove, you're kind of like a bitch if you use a glove? Is that like the way it goes, or what?
Without saying that, yeah.
Well, here's the funny part of it too, is it went from, all of a sudden after we went down there and won the glove, it's, man, all right, that's great, but you guys need to come play no glove. Anybody can win the glove one. I'm like, fuck, they can, or anybody would have won.
You're never gonna get. You're never gonna walk on water, buddy. So you're always gonna have a reason that why you didn't get too good.
Listen, if we go win no glove, it'll be next year. You can only kick it over with your instep.
Yeah, right. So it's gonna be kickball.
No matter how you do it, it'll be
no gloves. Can they at least wear those like football tacky gloves? Can we wear those?
No, sir.
No glove. You can tell when you're shaking hands with a bunch of dudes, you can tell they play with no gloves. I mean, there's guys with knuckles. Oh, they're all snapped off and broken. Like, look at these guys' fingers, man. They're all busted up.
My God, I got a bunch of pretty boys on my team, man. I don't know about all that.
So we had a question from Chad Erickson. It says, Brett, I want to know if you love me.
Oh, Chad knows I love him, man. Chad's a good dude.
Better love him.
Joey, there's a Joey Cap on the stream too that's watching. I believe he's a straight play guy for you, Danny. That's watching.
So is Chad. They both are.
They're both straight play guys. They tried to ruin my year.
He said he could barely catch with a glove.
Well, Joey, we might, Joey, I go ahead and throw him in there with the no glove. I'll give Joey the no glove. He'll be fine. He doesn't use his glove so well. But Chad, we need his glove. Chad, we need his glove.
Yeah.
So
Spencer said he's going to be joining us back in 10 minutes. And so, Donnie, why don't we get to your next question? I know we got a couple more questions for the guys.
Yeah, not a ton left for the team. I was going to ask Spencer about his team and the success of his year, but I want to talk to. I mean, the energy that you guys bring is awesome. Danny, yourself, you bring a lot of energy, and these guys can probably appreciate that. And Brett, you hold a different type of energy. You've got a swagger and a confidence about you, and I appreciate it. But Danny, we got to get you out here, man. I think you would really enjoy the ambiance of the game. It's more of a baseball feel, if that makes sense, because there's more strategy that goes into it.
I love it.
We only had 2 home runs all weekend, which is probably wild for you to hear, right? But one of them was in probably the biggest moment of the game, and it was really cool because we don't see those very often. And it was a really cool moment. And Brett and I had a conversation before the first championship game because they were struggling hitting a little bit that day. I think you scored like 2 runs in one of the games or 3 runs, and I said, what's going on with the bats? And you said, I'm gonna have to step into the batter's box pretty soon if these guys don't figure it out.
Thank God. Thank God they figured it out. I was
They
trying
got
to let
a
Bell.
secret weapon on their bench, and they haven't even used them yet. I'll tell you what. Anywhere that it's hard to hit home runs, and I get a chance to play Brett Helmer, fucking sign me up, baby. I'm in. Sign me up,
So
Brett.
so next so
Jennifer's
next
handshake,
year,
bro.
I hear you. So next year, the major national, I'm not sure. Normally, it's held in Joliet. I think they're going to go back there, but there's been some rumblings that it might go to Iowa too. But either way, they get that out way in the beginning. We'll let you guys know immediately. I like to bring all the Double A and major teams to come play next season. That's our goal, to join everyone together. And then in return, I'd like for us to go play 12 inch, and you guys walk us through maybe a D or a C league level, because we've never played 12
You'll
inch
have to
before.
coach us.
You'll have to coach
I
us
would love
though.
to do that.
Yeah.
I
Absolutely, I
told
would love
them,
to do that.
Danny, I told them I thought maybe Challenge Cup would be a great place for them to put a team in to go play Challenge Cup, where it's a little more laid back, but everybody's most of their guys are from the same area, right? They could put a Chicago team or an Illinois team in, and probably be most all your 16-inch guys are from there anyways, right? So
Mhm.
Right.
you
Yeah.
could do that, and it would be maybe a good introduction to it, because what's really gonna jump on you is the speed of the game, right? The speed of the 12-inch game for your pitchers and your infielders is something that you need to take real serious, because it could get real dangerous real fast.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because your
Right.
pitchers aren't gearing
Donnie.
up, I'd imagine, right? Your pitchers aren't gearing up.
No, we
No.
Or
don't
do
gear
they?
up. So
No.
Donnie will be
Oh,
pitching
yeah.
all weekend long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
No, you
fine.
guys are gonna have to gear up. I'm
I'll get
definitely
out of the
more.
way.
That I think that's a fantastic idea, Brett. I would love to be a part of something like that. If I can help in any way, please, I would love to help. But yeah, we'd have to take that part serious though, because they would definitely
So
have to.
when is Challenge Cup? What weekend is that?
What is it, Brett?
There's
January 20
Yeah,
something?
there's a few different weekends in January for the lowers. You'd be right. We want to put you in probably the D or the C at the most. Probably D though, to be honest with you.
I'd say D.
And just go down there and experience it, man. And just you're gonna have to use your indoor facility up there and get in there and see some balls, because the exit speeds are so
Yeah.
fast compared to what
Yeah.
you're used to. I know. Listen, I know a lot of your guys probably maybe they dabble in it or play it. Maybe some have never played it at all. Like hey, my guys have never. I had 99% of my guys never even picked up a 16-inch ball. I had no idea what the hell they were doing before. I had sent some smartly. I had at least ordered some and sent some to all the guys so they could mess around with them for a couple weeks before we came down there. And then, of course, we got to your facility and we practiced as a team before we went over for our first game. So you would want to do something. So you'd want to get together and hit some BP in your facility and see how.
How long did you get out there, Brett? How long before did you get out there before the event started?
We got out there. We got out there on Thursday, so we went over and practiced Friday for a couple hours in the facility. Had our first game Friday night, and then an all-star game. So we kind of, gave ourselves a chance. I'd sent balls to all the guys. I think, like a month ahead of time. I think so they had a chance to go out and at least swing on them a little bit and get humbled before they before they showed up there. Before they showed up there to get humbled, right? So
Yeah.
it's
Started breaking their bats. Do we swing the same bats?
you can. So a lot of my guys, this is interesting because they make specific bats for this that are super heavy, right? The ball's heavy, so it's more of it's a mass against mass kind of thing for it. But a lot of my guys transition back to their regular 240 U-trip bats throughout it. And, the odd thing was I had a bunch of my old Eastons that were super heavy from back in the aluminum days. So I brought those that had 7-8 ounces of end in it. And a lot of the guys swung those, but like Phil Matt, for example, started there, and then he went to his 27-ounce, Bedlam, and Phil was hitting the ball the hardest of anybody in the tournament for sure. He was absolutely, now he couldn't hit a homer, or at least he didn't there, but he hit some absolute shit through the infield that dudes are like, wait a minute, man, what is going on? And then KP switched around a bunch, ended up going to his bat and then back to the other bats. KP probably hit, honestly, he probably hit a dozen balls 290 feet, where if he just hits them a little more, he's got 10 home runs instead of no home runs,
Yeah.
But he started playing the game and doing what you'd expect, the best hitter in the world to do.
There's no home run limits or anything like that?
No, because nobody can.
Yeah,
We had two all weekend. Remember, we got two.
Yeah, we had two. Matusik hit them both, and the first one he hit out early in the I think he hit out in the winners bracket final, and then he hit a massive homer for us in the 6th inning of the if game that went out. I swear it went out by 50 feet. It was an absolute tank shot. Like he hit it, and everybody was like, "That's gone," and that's just not something you would say there because nothing is just gone in that game. So
No.
it ended up being just a huge swing, man, huge swing. So
We got
yeah.
We had a pretty good comment really quick, Jim, from Tyler Marshburn. He said only a couple of us can swing the 38 ounces, Brett. And I know that some of you guys, I think Travis Clark ended up swinging a 38 ounce clincher while he was playing.
Trav swung the clincher the whole
38
time.
ounces?
And loaded.
They're heavy, man.
He swung one of my bats the whole weekend. Yeah.
And of course, he was terrible, and he probably should have stuck with something else, man. I kept ragging him like, dude, put that piece of shit down and swing something different, will you, please? So, but
only
Tyler,
men can swing that bat, Brett. Remember that. Only real men.
It's made for men. That's a fact. Tyler was funny because Tyler didn't get in there until Saturday, so he missed the whole Friday stuff in our first game on Saturday. But he came in and he stood in the back of the box like you all do, and he ran up and just started hitting balls to right field. So Tyler
was like walking the box and
dude, he looked like he's played it forever, right? He come in there and ended up hitting 600 on the weekend, which is the equivalent of hitting about 1,100 in our game. So
what's the pitch? What's the pitch?
12 feet. 12 feet. It's a 6-12 arc.
6 feet.
So
6 to 12.
Brett, you talked about the facility. Did Resmondo get my bill yet for the facility?
Get the bill? No,
I said, did Resmondo get my bill yet for the facility?
Listen, we're still waiting on our hamburgers from your restaurant, man.
Hey, there's a reason why, all right?
That's great. That's a great burn.
Yeah. No, the place was awesome, dude. You got a hell of a place there. And I was shocked because obviously we had played, there used to be conference events at that same ballpark, in Chicago. And the last time we were there, they were all stone dust infields, and they were pretty rough, man. It was an infielder's nightmare to play on those infields, and to go there and see how much money they've put into the facility and all turf and just absolutely, gorgeous playgrounds for the kids and upgrades to all the stuff. It was really cool to come back there and see that somebody actually gave a shit and put a bunch of money into it and made it awesome. So we were fired up when we got there and absolutely excited to come back. And your facility, Jimmy's off the hook, man. That training center that you have there and restaurant, top notch. My guys were happy to come there and enjoyed every minute of it. So you guys have done well, and we can't wait to get back.
Yeah, I definitely appreciate you guys' support. You guys were there pretty much all weekend, so it was awesome to see. And I know the 16-inch guys loved you coming in, and so – as I said before earlier in the show, I really hope that we get more of, the 12-inch teams to come join. I think it's going to be an awesome thing. But let me get to my next question for you guys, and it's something I've been thinking about pretty often. And I wanted to ask you guys, how many tournaments do you guys play a year for 12-inch from January 1 to December 31st?
You can go if you want, Danny. Same.
So last year I was balling on a budget. I was the main source of all. It was me and JJ from Rebel. We had small help, but it was just the two of us. We ran. We didn't run any preseason. We didn't run the season. We didn't run the opener. You guys didn't do the opener either, which is what happened to the opener, by the way. That's another subject for another day.
Yeah.
We ran. We ran our duels. We stayed out of Seattle duel. We did 10 events, conference championship, worlds. So I think we did 12 events.
12 events. What about you guys, Brad?
Yeah, we did the same. So we did, you kind of pick and choose your battles. And even though, hey, we're fortunate to have an amazing budget and to do generally what we want to do, which is something that Straight Play will get to do now going forward with Dan, who's, Dan's one of the greatest sponsors in the history of the 12-inch game, and he'll make sure that they go where they need to go. And, the money concerns will no longer be a concern there. So that's amazing for them. And I'm happy for you.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that.
But yeah, so we did similar to the same. We went and we played 3 dual tournaments, which were, you kill 2 birds, you get to go and play 2 full events on one weekend on one trip. So it does, It is semi cost effective, though you spend more in rental cars and hotels because you're there a couple days longer than you would be on a normal weekend. So instead of flying in on a Friday to play Friday night, Saturday, Sunday, you're flying in on a Wednesday night to play Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So there is added expense to it, but the save on the airfare tends to offset it enough that it does make sense and cuts down on family travel time, extra weekends away, right, for the folks, and
Sure.
work time. It does, some of it makes sense at a point, and some of it are so expensive
And
that
you usually get a little more team turnout too, so you get a little more bang for your buck point wise, etc.
Yep. So
So
it means a little bit
let
more, but
me,
we did the
yeah.
same number of
So
tournaments.
the next question I wanted to ask, and the reason why I mentioned about tournaments is that there's a really good 16-inch tournament in Yuma, Arizona, which is Memorial Day weekend. And the cool thing about that tournament is you actually play pool play on Saturday. So you play 4 games on Saturday that seeds you into a single elimination tournament on Sunday. So you're pretty much guaranteed 5 games. And that Yuma tournament's been around for 50, I think this will be the 52nd year. And there's a lot of good teams. You get San Diego.
A
You
nice
get
complex too. I've been to that complex. Nice complex.
yeah. So it's a really cool complex, and I'm just curious to see. I don't know what you guys do Memorial Day weekend, but for some reason, if you can't make Labor Day Nationals, Memorial Day weekend's another one. I mean, of course, we want you to make both, right? But just throwing it out there for you guys. I don't know if there's anything. Is there anything on the schedule for Memorial Day weekend for 12-inch?
Sometimes there is. It depends now. U-Trip will hopefully release a schedule this coming next week at their convention. We'll at least leave there with a general idea of what the hell's going on,
Sure.
and we can go from there. So hopefully they can free up some of those dates. I did get invited to the Yuma event from some of the guys when we were in Chicago. So if we can swing it, we wouldn't mind doing it. That's gloved, right? That was a gloved one as well.
Yep.
And the fences, I think, if I'm not mistaken, the fences are like 250 or 260 or something.
Yes, the fences are shorter. They're about 250, 260. So it'd be a little better for you guys.
No.
That could be fun. We actually might be able to score a bunch of runs there.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So go ahead,
and
Donnie.
if we can do it, we will.
Yeah, I got nothing else. I just appreciate you guys, chatting with us, and I know Jimmy's got a couple more things. I got one question here from the crowd. This is from Paul Rowan, who runs our 16-inch softball Hall of Fame. So a big staple in our game. Paul, thank you for chiming in. Quick question: in 12-inch, is it considered unsportsmanlike to go right back up the middle at the pitcher? I've seen some videos where fights have broken out when they went back up the middle. What is your guys' take on that?
No, it's part of the game. One thing I've always respected about Travis Clark, my pitcher, is he will never say a word, man. He has been absolutely pelted a million times. He doesn't say nothing, man. Now, that generally means we're going to go in there and one of my ogres is going to blow somebody's doors in on the other team for sure. But that's part of it, right? You protect your own, right? So listen,
definitely
Josh
managed.
Jones,
It's
Josh
managed
Jones
it's managed within the confines of the lines. It's managed within your dugout because, our guys know if you go up there and
if it's intentional.
Travis,
Yep, if it's intentional.
Jonesy's took notice of that, and he's not going to necessarily come down on you because we're a team, but the reality is that we don't want to get Jonesy getting shot at by 285-pound ogres too often. It's not the smartest.
It's a huge part of the game at all levels in the 12-inch game. The middle is, hey, it's the biggest
It's
hole
open,
no matter
and
what.
you have to be able to use it. You have to be able to use it, and you have to know how to use it. But there's a difference in the way you use it too, right?
That's right.
When we're watching the game, Brett and I are watching the game, we can see the difference between, a guy base hitting the ball and a guy with, intentions that are not within the confines of the game. And when it gets to that point, and not only that, sometimes it may happen, but when it happens and then happens, or then happens and happens, oh, you best believe there's going to be answers. We actually, there was a well documented incident that happened with us and a team I actually happened to get interviewed mid game. I don't know if you saw that, Brett, but Dell
I did see that.
comes up
Actually,
and
yeah.
interviews me mid game, right after my pitcher gets pelted, and then Joey leads off the inning and nails their pitcher, and he's like, "Oh, do you think you did?" And it's like, why are you coming to me? Like, my guy just got nailed first, like you should be going over there talking to their guy, like
Right.
he's the one that
Ask them.
nailed my guy.
That's right.
So, I mean, at the end of the day, I think, you got to be a little bit of a knucklehead to strap that gear on. I wouldn't do it. You got to be a little bit of knucklehead to do it. They're a little bit kind of a different cats, but I agree with you, Brett. Travis has been nothing but a class act. That man, he straps it on. He plays his game, and I've never seen him disrespect one player, any way but edgewise. He's always been nothing but a professional. I respect the hell out of the way he conducts himself on the mound.
But you got to be. He's right. You got to be a little off your keel. Pitching is rough, man. It's rough business out there on the mound, and respect to every single one of those dudes and gals who go out there and do it, because I promise you, if you pitch, you are wearing one at some point. You are wearing one, and it's going to suck. It hurts when they hit you, man. There's nothing soft about a 12-inch softball. It's the most misnamed thing on this planet, man. Call it softball is way out of line. It is not soft. It hurts.
Right. And that's why Donnie will pitch for our team when we go. Right, Donnie?
I'm fine with it. I just want to play. I just want to be involved. Let's do it. I want to do it.
I love it.
Let's play.
It.
So
I'm ready. I'm terrified.
Guys, and in the grand scheme of things, that's the beauty of this, is that we all just want to play the competition.
Yes,
like, we're just grown-ass men that are kids at the end of the day that like to get between the lines and compete. We're so blessed to have this outlet, and there's no reason to be, to disrespect each other or the game. Like, let's go out there, compete, have fun, dislike each other in between the lines. When it's all said and done, there's a reason why we all line up, shake hands, give each other hugs when it's all said and done. We didn't like you just a minute ago, but hey, we respect the hell out of you now.
That's right.
That's right. Hey, is it cool? Is the women's open going to be the same time, just like it was this past year down there? Is it cool if I get a couple women's teams to come?
I think they would absolutely love that. So
I'm pretty sure I can get at least one to come.
Yeah, there's absolutely no doubt that they would absolutely love that. I know that that's something they're trying to grow. It's something that we're all trying to grow in the game. So,
are you talking about Yuma?
No, we're talking about.
I was talking about Chicago Major Nationals.
Because I have a huge following with local teams here. If for the Yuma event, I could absolutely get you some love for that event. Absolutely,
that'd be cool. Hell yeah.
I think your second baseman, Mike Nino, he actually plays in the Yuma tournament.
Probably.
Yeah, he's from around that area. Yeah.
He actually played in the home run
Mike
derby.
Nino plays in any type of softball, barefoot, whatever it is. He'll play it. He plays everything.
Yeah. He was in the home run derby. We had a home run derby 12-inch on Friday night, and I think him and Nate battled it out, and it was awesome to see. So it was really cool. So
he's a good dude.
But really good dude. And so this leads me to my last question, and I know, Brett, I'm going to change it up for you a little bit because it's something that you've answered before. But now that you've played the game, and I'm going to start with you, Brett, and Dan, I'll go to you next. Now that you've played the game of 16 in softball, I ask everybody, what would you do to change the game to make it better for next time? Now that you played it, what was the one thing that stood out to you that you'd be like, you know what, if they did this, it would help improve or promote, or however you want to look at it, the game of 16 in softball?
I think the one thing I noticed right away was the officiating is pretty inconsistent, right? You'll get one guy who will let a 16-footer go and call it 10 feet, and the next guy calls an 8-footer 16 feet. So I think consistency with your officials would be a huge step in the right direction for everybody. It's not just my guy. I'm sure everybody who plays it all the time, you get a little frustrated with it, and it's
not the umpires. Never.
We get frustrated sometimes, and I know they're trying, but I think that's one big thing. My takeaway was that, and maybe the pickoff stuff is a little strange for the pitchers, but I mean, I get it, but there should be a penalty if you're going to try to pick one of my dudes off and you whip the ball in center field, my guy should be able to fucking run some bases. That's what I think. I think if you want to try to do that and you suck at throwing it to the base, then the penalty should be I get to run as far as I can run until somebody picks up and throws it in there and I can't run anymore.
Especially in a small ball game.
Yeah.
That's
You know, when
no, that's a
you're
good
playing
point.
more or less small ball and whatnot, right? Because you're scoring such a low amount of runs. You shouldn't
Yeah.
have free, just wild ass throws over whenever the hell you feel like it.
Yeah,
Well,
I love the quickness of the shortness. I mean, the games are 45 minutes, an hour if they're really good, and in general, it brought back. It felt like I was playing college baseball again or high school baseball again, where the runs were a big deal, man. It meant a lot. It means if you're up 4-1, man, you're feeling pretty damn good about it.
Were you like first like a runner on second, nobody out? Were you like going 3-4 just to get them over type stuff?
We didn't initially, in certain games, depending how the flow was going, we would change to it, right? Like we won the one game 2-0 against the 45s, who are an outstandingly good, historically good 16-inch franchise, right? And we were making a ton of plays, and we won that game 2-0 with great defense. And Phil Matt, I think, hit a big triple over the left fielder's head, which ended up being a huge swing in the game.
Yep.
But we manufactured a little bit there, but for the most part, we didn't really take that approach unless it was, all right, look at man, there's an out. This is a mess. We need to try to go. This dude's on second. Let's see if we can score.
But was it ego, or if you could do it over again? Do you think your strategy would go in having that small ball attitude in play at more times?
I think we'd look more at hitting gaps and lines as opposed to, my guys were just not all of them, but some were caught up in, man, I want to hit this out of here. And I understand. Yeah, man, I want to hammer this ball out of here. And I think it was frustrating because they were so close. Buddy Wolf hit 7 or 8 balls, 295, right to the fence. KP did a dozen of them that way. Phil hit a bunch. So we had a bunch. Riley hit a bunch. We had a bunch of guys hit them so close that they're like, man, I know if I square this up, I can hit them. So they went on with that until we got to a point where it was, all right, man, figure out, just get on base. And they did. They had just adapted to that, and we went about it the other way, and and did what we had to do. Which what I think would be really cool to see if we could get the RoofX guys to come, or your guys to come. The RoofX guys with their defense and how fast they are on 60-foot bases. If you can like Chad Erickson runs, or 90% of the RoofX kids run, you create huge problems because it's so fast. Home to first to second, you can get leads, right? So it's even shorter than 60 feet. Yep, and you can do a ton of. Yep, you can do a ton of running and defense, especially outfield. If your outfielders fly and can make plays, it stops a lot of traffic. It's pretty cool, man. I'm hoping that we can draw some other teams into it, and I think if y'all come, or whoever comes, if we can get you come, I think that your takeaway would be like mine. You'll get there and you're first going to be frustrated and annoyed because your guys who think they have power will immediately understand they don't have any power here in this deal. And when you click the button to go into play the game, it'll click and you'll leave there thinking, man, this was pretty damn fun. Let's go do this again.
Yeah,
I believe that would be the takeaway, especially if you're competitive.
I like that. That actually sounds like a lot of fun. It sounds like a lot of, like actually managing too, like where there's decision making.
Yeah, there's a ton of management, which would be, both you guys are obviously great at. You've done so good with what you have. So I think you would love the chance to manage it, because you have to manage it different than how we manage our normal weekends. And I think you'd enjoy it, and I think your players would enjoy it. So I'm hoping it works out. I know there's an expense to everything, and it makes it hard. But, man, if there's any way to make it work, it would be awesome to have you guys roll in there.
So,
I'm going to do my part. I think that sounds fun.
So yeah, we actually
lost
watched most of y'all play most of y'all's games on the live stream. We paid attention to that. We watched through it. We watched y'all make adjustments, right, from the start to the finish, right. And so we were actually glad y'all went. So we got something to see. We got some tape to see, right?
Yep, absolutely.
But yeah, no, we were definitely paying attention. It was something we were keeping up with while y'all were there too, and we watched the games and all that. So like I said earlier, we talked after the weekend in Minnesota, and you had nothing but good things to say about it. So we've talked about it internally quite a bit, going into next year. And I think even if it may not make our actual schedule, we may see a version of it, one way or the other. But it's something we're definitely discussing.
Great.
So Donnie, you were asking Spencer a question before he really hung up on you. You didn't want to talk.
My question was so bad that he just left the stream. So, apologies about that, my guy. I mean, I was going to keep it simple, right? After hearing Brett talk about the game, after hearing Danny and his motivation to play as much softball as possible, are you guys excited? I know you just kind of mentioned it. Are you guys excited at all to come try the game after watching Resmondo and do that?
Yeah, absolutely. That's like I just said, we've already been discussing it, right? So Resi going, Brett coming back and having a good review about how it went in the game, and some of the guys, obviously had a real good time while they were there. I didn't realize that the 2 home runs Matusak hit were the only 2 ever. Right?
Ever.
So that's pretty
good.
Ever
in the whole game
at that park. At that park.
Oh shit.
Right. So it makes it interesting.
They do call him Moose, so I mean, Jesus.
Is it at the same place next year?
You know what? The last 3 years have been at the same location. I know there's been some chatter about us going to Iowa, possibly, but I don't see that happening. I see it being at the same spot next year, which is a beautiful complex. I know you missed what Brett said earlier, but that complex has a bar in the middle of it. It's just all turf fields. They do a really good job of taking care of the fields and doing a really good job of taking care of the complex. There's a park in the middle of it for the kids and families. And it's just laid out really nice. There's a really cool, awesome bar, no matter what Brett says, down the road at Pop Magoo's that you can join. Don't worry, Roofex will get to hit all they want in that dome, so don't worry about it, all right? I'll take care of you, okay?
Just don't order any food. If you order food, you're going to have to go in 3 days early if you order lunch. It's going to take 3 days for your sandwich to show up.
This guy thinks, we have 100 and something people walk in at once. And, there's not going to be no wait times. But Spencer, where are most of you guys from? I was told Indiana and Ohio. Is that correct?
Yeah, we have a lot of Indiana, Ohio.
Okay.
That's primarily where we're at. And then, the rest of our guys are scattered a little bit. But, the core group of our guys is definitely Indiana and Ohio. That's like 8 guys.
So it'll be a drivable thing. Yeah.
From a travel standpoint, I mean, my recommendation to you guys from a travel standpoint, if you're trying to get the 12-inch teams to come, Chicago makes a lot more sense, probably cost efficiency wise. You can get in and out of Chicago for folks who travel. You can find cheaper flights and more options. Iowa would be, not that we would come no matter what, but Iowa would be a little harder ticket, I think, for a lot of the teams. So I think Chicago, if we're trying to build it with some 12-inch folks and get them interested, is probably a better venue.
Yeah, Chicago is one of the cheaper events on the schedule for most teams in the conference, right? Not all of them, if you're based on the West Coast, right? But Chicago's pretty good for most of us.
So, Spencer, just one more question. I know you cut off earlier, and Danny, I'll get to you about the last question there in a minute. But you guys with Roofex, where did you guys start? Like, how did the team come about? Because I know that's always a question that people.
Yeah, so I actually, I wasn't around for the very start of it. They started the Silverbacks group. They were together first originally, right? There's still 5 of those guys that are together with us that have grown, from the Silverbacks to Rock Run and eventually into Roofex. And it's just, they've kind of pushed themselves over the years, to continue to grow and to continue to climb the ladder. And so, those guys, that's where it started. And then, when they became Roofex, they added the guys from Ohio. So they've been together now for a couple of seasons. And then, the rest of the pieces came later. But the core group, that's where it came from. The Amish beat, they were started in E, but that's where it came from. That's where it started.
Right. So, like I said before, hopefully you guys are able to join us Labor Day weekend. Danny, I'm going to get over to you, Danny, with the question that I kind of asked Brett, but it's more around 12-inch because obviously you haven't played 16-inch yet. Hopefully you will. It's very soon. What is something in your game right now that you feel you could bring to the 12-inch game or maybe change in 12-inch to make it better moving forward?
What is something that I could bring to the 12-inch game?
Yeah, what is something in 12-inch that you see today that are like, you know what? If we did this, it would improve our game or just improve
Well,
softball overall.
yeah, that's a great question, and I think sometimes at some levels that could be a loaded question too, because there's a lot of
Just pick one.
you get to this level, there's a lot of that you know, let's just use the word drama. And there's a lot of hearsay and this and that that goes on. I would love to see some type of uniformed way to conduct the off season with like the contractual obligations between players and sponsors and things of that nature. I think that there's a lot of players who have been done dirty, and I think there's a lot of sponsors who've been done dirty. And I think unfortunately it's people all they know is what they hear, and they hear something negative. One thing I've always told guys within straight play, like in one of the big things I told when I partnered up with other sponsors, is like one thing about us is when a player leaves, we do not label these players because this sticks with them. They have stats that sticks with them. These things are all
Right.
recorded, but our opinion of them is not going to stick with them. If somebody has a question, that is factually based about what they brought to the table or didn't, and what our dealings with them were, that's fine. But we're not going to sit here and discuss what our opinions were of them as a person. Now, if they stole some money from you or something, now that's fair game. But I'm talking just the way people, there's so many people that get labeled in this game unfairly, and it sticks with them. And then you go into to add on to that, when you go into this contractual part of things, you think you have a deal worked out with player A, and you move on to player B, and you have a game plan. I'm sure every team, you have you have your team. You do your exit interviews. You decide who you plan to keep, and where you feel you need to make adjustments and add different versatility or whatever the case may be. And so then you put your eggs in these baskets. Well, ultimately these players get these calls, and they have a target in their head which they think is their value, and I'm perfectly fine with every player exploring what they think their value is. That's fine. But when you have an agreement and you make an agreement, to me, my word, I like to look at it as gold. Like if I give you my word that I'm going to deliver on a financial agreement or otherwise, then that's what it's going to be. And I would like there to be some type of uniform fashion within the organization to where we can contractually obligate these guys to be signed to these teams. And right now, we're at the mercy of waiting until we get our 2025 rosters up, and then sending out these invites, and then them accepting them. And then sometimes they say that they didn't accept them, their girlfriend accepted it, or and it's like there's all this like gray area. I think for the USSSA organization to take conference to the next level, we need to legitimize the way the business dealings are handled in that fashion. There needs to be. There was an instance last year where there was a player that was quote unquote traded, who got traded and then didn't end up on the team that he was supposedly traded to. And he had his justifications, and I've heard all about him, and I understood where he was coming from. But the person that where his justifications were coming from, didn't screw over that person. It screwed over the person who gave up a player to get this player. And so, and it wasn't intentions. And this person I speak of is one hell of a dude, and I understand where he came from, and I totally believe in what he said. It's not, he wasn't the problem. The problem is the system. And so, if we're gonna have like these adding and dropping players and these rules
Right.
and this and that, there needs to be legitimacy behind it. There needs to be a legitimate
Yep.
form of making a player trade, or making or these player transactions in season and off season, and then some form or fashion of salary cap. Now that doesn't affect us as much in the major level, but when I say salary cap, there's points attached to these players. And when you're building A and double A rosters, you got like these different ways of looking at it. You got points, and then you got PRVs, and then you could only have X amount of players that had played in the level before. you can only have 3 of them, but then you can have 8, and then But what ends up happening is that you got players in the know, and we know who they are, who skirt the system, and they put major teams in AA. We know who that team was. Like they had guys who were second team all conference, who in any other year would at the very, very least been a watch list player, who were nowhere to be found on the list. They had guys that were on a major team. Now, he wasn't a starter on a major team, but gets released and is nowhere to be found on a list that joins that same said team that was a lot of people. It wasn't just me thinking that that looked like a major roster. Now, they had their warts, and at the end of the day, you line up and you compete against the teams you're told to compete against. But there
Right.
needs to be more black and white. All the gray area into how these teams are assembled and how these players are designated on what level they are, whether it's going to be points, PRV, where they played, how they played, what their stats were, whatever the hell it's going to be. Let's black and white it and let's lay it out so every single manager and sponsor knows that this player equates this, that player equates that. And in season, if we're going
Right.
to make a trade, that it's going to be sanctioned in some form or fashion by USSSA, or else you're just another C team that's just bargaining with another C team to try to make a trade. And then if you're going to do that, then why aren't they allowed to jump back on the roster if they were off the roster? So there's
Right.
just too much damn gray area with the rosters for my liking. It creates way too many questions and way too much controversy going into the years, because the fact of the matter is that a lot of these teams aren't balanced. Like
Yeah.
you could look at the AA division last year and you knew that there was a couple teams that had highly unlikely shot to win. I mean, that's just the truth. They were going to
So
need
so Danny,
from
really
hell or high
quick.
water, they weren't winning. Yeah.
So really quick, Danny, and this is kind of you and Spencer. Before I get to Spencer, don't know this guy. We just had a comment come through. It sounds like you guys need a geo, and there was another comment that says that do you guys have a geo in 12-inch softball? And so for you two on the bottom, Geo's just one of the guys who runs the SSA, who does a lot of the streaming and stuff like that for our game. But that would be kind of like a DW, right, Helmer? Who's kind of like who does a lot of your
Yeah,
stuff for you.
DW
DW is
does it.
great, but he gets. I even feel like he gets silenced a lot, or he doesn't get to say. I'm sorry, Brad. I'll let you answer.
No,
that,
go ahead. Go ahead.
But I feel like he doesn't get to say the things that he really feels, and you can tell there's a lot he wants to say and he has a lot of great ideas that just seem to go by the wayside, and it just doesn't make sense to me, and it's frustrating.
Yeah, no worries. But Brett, go ahead. What were you going to say about DW?
No, I was going to say, yeah, you could listen. I know you guys have all these issues here with some of the folks, and it's a mess. And 12-inch softball is no different. I would think you'd find it in any sport. There's always going to be two sides of it all, right? And it's just going to be not always peaches and cream. So USSSA, ASA, or USA, NSA, all of our associations have some issues internally as well, and they're trying to work through them. So,
Sure.
I always give credit to USSSA for not abandoning their upper program when all the other associations shut down their programs. Without them, there would be no major softball. It would have been gone, almost 20 years ago at this point. So I always give a little extra credit to USSSA for stepping up, and Don Dionata Sr. for keeping that game alive for us and giving us an avenue for the top talent to go play.
Right.
But that doesn't always sit well with everybody, and sometimes you're going to have issues that arise. And I don't think you'll see, to Danny's point, I don't think you'll see UTRIP get too far involved into hawking the teams and seeing how they handle their individual players, because they're still at the end of the day an organization that it's not really set up on a professional sports level. So when you get money involved, the payment to players and stuff like that, it changes the equation a little bit. So they have to tread a little lightly on how they get involved. Though I totally agree on having some sort of a contract that's viable for sponsor protection, really more than it is. So, because the players will play. Listen, I'll get the 3 managers are on this team. I'll get a phone call from one of the guys on their team telling me they just got an offer from Spencer. Then he just got an offer from Danny. Hey, can you beat that offer? little, to know, I'll literally just pick the phone up and call either one of these guys or whoever and say, hey, man, I just got a call from so-and-so, told me you offer them this, just so you know this is going on. The players will play the game against the sponsors, not paying attention well enough to understand the history of the game, that they're driving sponsors out of the game, man. And that is, we're bleeding at this conference level. We're bleeding sponsorship, and we're losing teams at a rate that is super concerning. We're going to be lucky to field 20 teams in the conference this year, down from a 50-team conference that we started. And at its best, probably, when we were running in the upper 30s, close to 40 teams, it was the right number probably. But, sponsors are merging together to try to cover the cost of travel, because travel's a real live issue, right? It's our biggest problem, is getting to places and making it make sense. And I'm well aware not everybody's as lucky as I am to have a Travis Resmondo and some other, Scott and Nate and guys who put in a bunch of money to cover that for our guys. And, so we're so lucky. And Mike Yoder's an amazing dude for RoofX, and puts that money in so they can go do their thing. And now with Dan Smith back in the game, Straight plays in the same boat. Everyone's not in our boat, right? It's hard to make ends meet and to do this.
Mhm.
So I'm concerned. It's a concern, man, that we're just going to keep losing teams. And at some point, does it become viable to keep doing what we're doing? I hope the answer is yes. I hope we can figure it out. But man, it's gotten to a little scary point.
Wow.
Yeah, no, I mean, expenses for any team, I think, is always a tough topic, right? And a tough, especially with, hopefully now that we have Trump in office, hopefully some of these expenses will come down a little bit, but it's going to be a couple of years before we get to that point, if we ever do. So, but Spencer, I asked the other two gentlemen the last question. I just want to ask the same thing: is there anything on your mind that whether you would change or add the game of 12-inch?
They both make good points. My big thing right now is I'm not a fan of the hardcore ball. I think it plays inconsistently, and it's really not. It's not a great ball for the majority of when we use it. If you watch a lot of tape or you watch a lot of our games, you'll see outfielders that are getting crossed up almost every single game, because that ball knuckles so much and it's unpredictable. That knuckle comes at the last minute. I mean, how many left fielders got blown up this year? There was times where if a ball would have knuckled one way or the other, that it would have hit a guy right in the face, right? And these are legitimately really good outfielders out there who do this all the time, and they're getting crossed up by line drives hitting the left field, or balls that get squared up that way because that ball plays so inconsistently.
Interesting.
Wow.
I never knew that. I never knew that was an issue, Jim. I never knew that the 12-inch ball could be inconsistent like that. If a
Massively
16-inch ball is
inconsistent.
I did not know that. If a 16-inch ball is knuckling, it's because you hit it correctly, and it's going to be difficult to catch, as it can be. But yeah, I did not know that, Spencer. Thank you for sharing that with us. And as we kind of watch the condensed games, as we usually do out here, we don't get a ton of exposure to your game, and we play the 16-inch game. That'll be something that we probably look out for going forward and watch it. I know you guys have incredible outfielders, and that's that's some of the strength of your team. So, but man, got nothing else for you guys. It was from my standpoint a pleasure having you guys for sure. And always a great time chatting softball with you guys. I'm sorry, Spencer, that you got cut off there for a little while.
No, you're good, man. That's no problem.
I appreciate you.
My fault anyway.
It's all good. I appreciate you making some time for us.
Yeah. So at this part of the show, we always hand it over to you guys. If there's any questions for Donnie and I in regards to the show, softball, whatever it may be, the floor is your guys.
I think for my part, it's just, trying to keep pushing and see if we can get some of these other folks to come and join up for the good time that 16-inch was. And I believe their takeaway will be what my guys' takeaway is this was awesome. And man, we can't wait to come back. And I think we'd have had that had we went 2-2. I think it would have been even more so of, man, we just messed that up and we really want to come back. So I think it's, man, to push that message of, and like Spencer said, I went right to those guys in Minnesota. I said, listen, you dudes would love this. This is right up your alley because of how good you are and how great you play defense and how you play the game. I think you'd absolutely love it. So I think I think we'll expand on what we had, and we'll try to get a couple women's teams to join in and just try to grow it. And that's the whole point. Grow the game, all the games, right? If we can make it better and we draw some of your 16-inch teams into playing a little 12-inch on their spare time and enjoying it a little bit, they might find out that it's pretty fun and they love that too. So it's, it's a grow the game deal, man. That's what we're trying to do. Leave it better than we found it.
Yep, absolutely. You're 100% right. So we're all in that group chat. I think there's all 12 of us in that group chat for all the 12-inch teams. So Donnie and I will stay on that 12-inch, giving you guys updates and so on as the dates populate for next season. But I can tell you right now, it's going to be Labor Day weekend. I don't know what the actual dates are, but we'll get that out there as soon as we know what those actual dates are, and I'll put it in the group chat. I know there's about 12 of us in there, so hopefully we can get 5 or 6 teams come Major National next season. So
yeah,
Spencer,
we're in. I can tell you right now, we're in.
Awesome. Thank you, Brett. That's one. So Spencer, hopefully you guys are in. We'll see you guys.
Commit right now for me on our show.
I'll tell you, we're really seriously considering it. I would be surprised if we're not.
Love
I'll give you that much.
Breaking news.
So there we go. We got 2, Donnie. Two in for
you know what they're going to do to us, Spencer? They're going to put you in against us Friday night at 6 o'clock.
Exactly. First game.
It would be bad.
How that draw's going.
It would be bad if we played each other in the championship. Then I don't know what the hell we would do on our side. We would struggle with finding that out for sure.
Yeah, you guys got to be careful how many of these top teams you invite. You might not loving it too much.
You know what? I'm okay with it. I mean, if we're all playing the best and we're having fun, that's all that matters. I mean, of course we all want to win, but
that's right.
Go ahead, Donnie.
Hey, DW was on our show shortly after Major Nationals. He said that Roofex would win the tournament.
It's super possible. It's super possible. Listen, I can't say nothing because they whipped our ass all year long. Like I had an E team out there playing against them. So it's more than possible. I actually said that our guys talked about it while we were playing. That man, boy, if Roofex come, the Amish kids come, it'd be hell on wheels. It'd be fun. I was actually more excited to watch it because of the speed of how they play and how the conditions are and how small everything gets, to just see athletes who run. I've got some guys who run great. Corey Briggs and Bazat still runs great and like that, but they've got 10 guys who run like Corey Briggs runs. So it makes it, it'll be awesome to see. I surely hope they can come and play it because, win, lose, draw, to watch high level of our game is still amazing no matter who's playing it, right? That's the whole that's the whole takeaway.
Yep.
Very cool. Well, guys, thank you so much for your time. I definitely appreciate you guys joining tonight, and get on there and follow our show, share everything. Uncle Jimmy Cousin Donnie Show. We're on Facebook, YouTube, pretty much all the social media platforms you could think of, but we talk a lot about 12-inch, guys. So please, like I said, continue to grow the game with us, and we definitely appreciate the support. So thank you so much.
Thanks for having us.
Yep, absolutely. Anytime.
Thank you, guys.
See you guys.
All right. Thank you. Well, we got 2 teams coming to Major National, Donnie.
He said it, not us. He's more than likely come.
I mean,
but hey, that was fun. That was a good time chatting with those guys. You could tell like they just live, breathe softball.
That Danny dude was a trip, man. He was awesome.
He really got going. Once you asked him one thing, he could go forever.
Did you
see
his
phone died? He talked so much. He talked so much his phone died. That's never happened. That's never happened before on our show, which it's a testament to him. He was really feeling it. I appreciate that.
Did you see the passion and the fire that guy had about the game? I loved it. I loved every second.
He was the first person to ever be shirtless on our show, by the way, too. He did take his shirt off in the middle of the show.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
Towards the end there, he was playing in a game tonight. He's putting on his jersey. I love it.
Well, there was 3 other teams that were major and double A that were going to come to the show tonight, and they canceled right before for good reasons. They weren't assholes or anything about it. We will look to have them on in the future as well and try to reschedule them. So that would be an awesome thing. I know Brett was pumped when I spoke to him. You even heard it tonight about he was hoping that more teams would get on, right? So he's a big supporter, and it's huge to have the biggest man in 12-inch softball on our side like Brett Helmer is. I mean, it's a cool thing to see, you know.
I could talk to Brett about softball all the time because it is really cool.
Yeah, I'm super excited about just the whole thing of growing our game, doing what we have to do. It's really cool to see, you know. So
yeah, man, good time as always.
Anything for Rumor Mill for this week? Anything for softball for this week?
Only you guys, I think, are the only rumor that I've got. Only 45s.
What did you hear about? What did you hear about our team? I'm lost.
Isidro from the Demons is going to play for the 45s.
Yes, and so from what I hear,
young outfielder, nice pickup.
Yes, from what I hear, the kid is pretty talented.
Good.
I'm sure if I saw him, I would know who he is, but from what I hear, he's pretty talented.
I had the luxury of playing with him for 1 year on Lugnuts. And it was a good time. He's a good outfielder, fast. He is a good lefty hitter, very disciplined. Definitely improves your outfield with his speed. I have one more rumor mill for you. Signature has recently acquired our guy Phil McHugh to come and hang out on our bench and be a part of the coaching staff. Big Phil.
Really?
Yes, sir. He's excited.
What's he gonna?
And I'm excited to see.
What's he gonna do? Is he gonna drive the car for Sal or?
No, he's going to be involved with the coaching staff.
Okay. Is that
he's going to?
What?
He keeps a very, very clean book. Very clean, top notch.
So that means your batting average just went from 210 down to 190.
No. My batting average went from 210 to 250. Because Phil likes me. That's why.
All right, that works.
Phil's my guy. I'm happy to see. I like Phil. He's a good human being. I'm happy. He's a positive guy. We need that around the bench. So we like that.
Yeah. Well, that's a good thing. You know what, dude? Let's continue. Please, guys, support December 13th. We saw that there was the draw tonight for the Thanksgiving tournament. I know we didn't talk much about that earlier in the show, but so I know those teams are out. So maybe next week we could talk about that before the Thanksgiving tournament obviously happens. But, get out there, guys. December 13th is going to be an awesome night. Please try to make it out there. All the proceeds are going to be donated to the Filkins family. And I think it's just a cool thing, Donnie, that what we're going to do and how we're going to do it. I know Cut Shots has decided to send us banners and support the tournament. I know you showed that earlier in the show.
I love this. I love this thing. This is awesome.
Yep.
Oh.
So how many of the signature guys signed up for December 13th, Donnie?
I think we got 2 or 3 guys coming.
Yeah. How come you don't have your whole team?
I don't know. It's kind of late. Kind of late for some guys. They got families and stuff, but I don't know, man. I can't control them. I'll be there, though.
Yeah.
How many 45s are guys going?
I don't know. I haven't asked yet.
But you better get the full support from your team. Otherwise, you're going to have problems.
Yeah? Why am I going to have problems?
Because they're not coming to support your dome tournament. That's all.
No, I think we have
PJ's going. I know PJ, but he's Flash now. But PJ's playing.
I know Nate's playing. I know Danny's playing. I think Anthony's playing. Morola's playing. So I've got 5 or 6 guys. That's where signature needs to be at 5 or 6. So I checked today. We're about, I think we're 23 away from getting to 80. So I know we got 3 weeks, but let's get to 80 so that we can continue to have 8 teams of at least 10. But let's get to 80 guys. That'd be awesome. And I'm going to cut it off at 96. So
cool.
I think it's 67. I said 57. I think it's 67 is what I mean. So we need 13, but 23 to get to 90 is what it was. So hopefully we can get there, and I think we will. Every week we're picking up 2 or 3 more guys. So
I love it. Jimbo, that's it for me, my friend.
Hold on, we had a question. The real question is how many Hex guys are going to go to the Dome tourney?
At least 2 because they work there.
Well, I think Al and Richie.
Yeah,
I think
they have
Sloan.
to be. They're on the payroll. Sloan is playing. Playing.
He's playing. I'm assuming that kid Nick is going to play with them, right?
Castano, he's a junkie. He'll be there.
I think Mike Greco will probably play, would be my guess. I don't know about Scahill. I maybe Scahill. I doubt it. Smokey, maybe. I don't know. I could see Smokey playing. So I'll tell Richie to put it in their group chat. I'll see Richie tomorrow. So hopefully I'll tell him to put it in the group chat. But that's a good question, Jake. So Hex, though, they did beat Players Inc. last night in the Dome.
2-0. 2-0.
And you guys also won and beat March. You said that earlier. So are you and Hex the only teams that are 2-0 in the Dome, or is there more teams 2-0?
There's 3 teams that are 2-0. 3 teams are the dummies are the other team that's 2-0.
You're only playing 7 games, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, you guys are going to get there. Hopefully, Steve, Flash guys should hopefully join. But mostly the Flash guys don't pick up a softball till what, March? So
April.
Yeah. So, well, no, I shouldn't say that. They play in the Dome too. So, but Donnie, I appreciate it, dude. We're at an hour and 30 minutes tonight. I know we had a ton of issues with my internet and everything else. So, hopefully we'll get those fixed. Hopefully I'll get my login. I think that's why I'm lagging a lot is because I'm on your login. So,
yeah. Don't blame it on.
All right, my man. I definitely appreciate it. Thank you guys for watching the Uncle Jimmy Cousin Donnie Show, sponsored by the Beacon Tab. And please remember, December 13th, get on the website, sign up for the tournament. It's on GoProBall.com under 16 in softball. So thank you guys.